Hi, hello, welcome. I hope you are having a lovely day, whatever you're doing. Today I'm here with a follow-up video. The first video I possibly did 2 years ago, maybe? It was a while ago anyway, and people really liked it, had a really good response, and people found it really helpful. Today I'm doing a follow-up to my brilliant books for big thinking kids video. But before I get on with my great big stack of books I have sat next to me here, hello if you're new, I'm Lucy, I'm a mum of 4. I have 8-year-old Dylan, 6-year-old Everly, 3-year-old Quinn and 1-year-old Wylder. And you'll find all sorts of videos over here. I mean, you could call me an experienced mum of 4, or you could call me winging it and making it up as I go along, but I like to share all sorts of bits and pieces from our journey here. So if that is the sort of thing you'd like, come along, subscribe, join the fun. On the last video that I did, I talked about good quality texts. For anybody that doesn't know, I am a trained primary school teacher. I'm not actually teaching at the moment, but I'm really passionate about good quality books for children and encouraging children to read. Dylan, who is my eldest, is an amazing reader. He has been since he was quite small, and he absolutely loves to read. There is nothing that kid won't try his hand at reading, and he loves information books. He loves fiction books too, but he does particularly love to get stuck into an information book and to find out new things. And I know there are lots of kids like that out there in the world, and sometimes it's a lot easier to find good quality fiction books, but I sometimes find that non-fiction can be a little bit dry, and I have got a stack of really good ones from his collection to show you. If you haven't already, and this is your kind of thing, do check out the first video. I will put the link for that in the description, because that has got a collection of some of his favourites, but these are some others that have been added since that have become firm favourites of his as well. Okay, first up, these books come kind of as a pair for obvious reasons. Can you see why? Wild Animals of the North and Wild Animals of the South. So these are really beautiful animal books with information about where the animals come from. It goes through region by region, so it's grouped like the different regions together. Let's go for Europe, because we're in Europe, and as you can see, basically it goes through with wild animals. It's got beautiful graphic pictures, but then it gives you lots of information at the same time. So you've got, this is the red fox, but then it gives you, I'm assuming it's the Latin name, and then it gives you information about the animal. So some of the pages have just kind of got pictures and text and like the name on, but then some of them have got a bit more information, and it's not kind of dry text, it's really beautifully written descriptive text. So these would be absolutely lovely for any animal mad kids out there, or anybody that's kind of interested in where things come from. They're a really great accompaniment if you're going on a trip to the zoo, and you can talk about where the animals come from originally. Now I've got another book, pair of books that kind of come together, again for obvious reasons when you see what they're called. We have the natural world and the human world. So this one, kind of similar, not similar at all actually, but it's obviously covering similar content to those previous ones that I showed you. But this talks about natural things. So it doesn't just talk about animals, it will talk about plants, it will talk about environments, it will talk about all sorts of different things to do with the natural world. So you've got stuff about animals and creatures, and there's all sorts of interesting infographics and information in these books. Dylan, particularly this one, he will pick up and just read a couple of pages. I think that's the nice thing about non-fiction books, is I think they're easier to pick up and put down and have a little dip into if you just got a little amount of time to sit and read. The human world one, I think, as a grown-up, is quite fascinating, to be honest. It tells you all sorts of things about discoveries of humans, and how clothing has evolved, and how, like, about civilizations and how civilizations have evolved, and about, I'm trying to find some other really good pages that we love. It tells you about time and how we care about books, and the concept of money and medicines and all sorts. It's just a really interesting kind of, almost like a history book for the human race. It's really, like I said, quite fascinating as a grown-up, but written in a way that's really approachable for children with really great, interesting graphics that are beautifully done and really good to look at and engaging. Okay, the next 4 go together, but I'm not going to hold them all up at once because I'm just not sure that my arms are up to it. But these ones are really fun books, and I feel like lots and lots of kids would like these books because they are around the topic of space, which loads of kids are interested in the topic of space. So these are all from the Professor Astrocat's collection. So there is an app for Professor Astrocat, which is really good fun if you've got kids that are just kind of getting into the idea of space. Dylan, for a while, was obsessed with space and could tell you the distance that planets were from the sun from memory. So he absolutely loves these. These have been loved to death and they still look like new. They're brilliant. But these are really, really fun books because they've got... This one I would say is quite simple. This is good for kids that are just sort of starting off with planets, but this is the Professor Astrocat's solar system book. So it's got lots of pretty graphics, but also lots of information. These are fun books for kids to get stuck into, and they tell you lots of information in a really sort of fun and friendly kind of way. And then in the same vein, there is also Space Rockets, which is about space exploration. And then there is also Professor, this one's slightly bigger, The Frontiers of Space book, which covers planets and covers stuff, but as you can see, this one has got a little bit more text in. So I would say that these ones are probably more appropriate for Key Stage 1 age children, whereas, I mean, Dylan still loves them, they've still got useful information in them, but this one is a little bit more advanced, so this would probably be more targeted at slightly older children. It's got, just as you can see, more text and more information, but it's still got those beautiful graphics that are really engaging. This covers in a lot more depth stuff about the planets, about space travel, about asteroids, the universe, and all that sort of thing. It goes sort of through planet by planet. There's all sorts of information in here. These books, I have not got a bad word to say about these books. They're fantastic. And there's another one which is slightly different but is from the same people, and that is the Atomic Adventure one. Is, I guess, a little bit more sciencey. It's kind of, is it physics? It's physics, isn't it? It's physics. This has got more about sort of scientific stuff. So there's things about atoms and the periodic table and what molecules are, and there's all sorts of physicsy stuff in here, materials, numbers, all sorts of things. It's a really fantastic and fun book for any, you know, budding scientists out there. This one's brilliant. This book is definitely for your geeky type, but this book, I would say, is the one that Dylan picks up the most often, and it did surprise me at first, but now that I've seen him pick it up so much, I kind of get why. So this book is called A World of Information. Now in A World of Information, it covers all sorts of different topics. So the skeleton, rivers, regular polygons, the periodic table, the Greek alphabet, time zones, all sorts of weird and wonderful topics. But each topic is covered just over, I mean, you can see I'm struggling to lift this book up because this book is massive. But each topic is covered over a double page spread. So you've got some sort of picture and the information to back it up. But it's quite nice because if it's kind of like nearly bedtime, go and have a quick read. I find that Dylan can open this up and I'll say, right, you can read 2 pages from it. So you can read 2 lots of information, or 1 if there's not a lot of time. And it's just a little bit of something to kind of get his mind whirring, and it's interesting for him to look at. And this is, it's got a real sort of vintage stylish look about it. I think it's really cool. And there is information in this book that I didn't know about, and it's all kind of fascinatingly put together in a way that is appealing, I think, to grown-ups as much as children. So there's stuff in here about the golden ratio, which people talk about in sort of relation to photography and stuff, but it kind of goes in depth about it and about bicycles and human eyes and pencils and brushes. And honestly, they're random topics. It covers all sorts of different stuff, but it's all really fascinating and interesting stuff. And like I said, Dylan picks this book up a lot. So if you have got a really inquisitive big thinker, I would definitely recommend this one. The last thing that I've got here are 3 definite favourites, and these are more geography ones. So I kind of started, didn't I, with like animal-y type ones, and then we've done space type ones, science type ones. These are geography ones. Geography is Dylan's bag. Dylan has a massive map of the world on his wall. He's a geek about that kind of thing. So the first one that I really like is called The 50 States. Now this is similar to a book called City Atlas that I recommended in my last video that was about cities across the world. Now this one is just specific to America. If you are somebody that travels to America a lot, or has American family, or is just interested in America, this is brilliant because this goes through state by state. Now I feel like, Dylan has not been to America, but I feel like America is kind of quite tied into a lot of cultural stuff that we talk about on TV and films and music and stuff. So it's quite useful for that. But basically, let me just pick, oh, it's fallen open on Hawaii. So it tells you all the key facts you'd expect, like the capital, the bird, the tree, the largest cities, and all those sorts of things. But then it will highlight important people from that state. It will tell you stories about that state. It will tell you moments to remember that are key for the history of that state, important buildings. It's just really interesting book to look through. It would be particularly interesting if you were going on holiday to one of these states. Let me see if I can find New York, because I feel like everybody knows New York, don't they? So I can show you that one. So this is the New York page. The New York page has got a little bit of sort of blurb about New York, all the information, really loads of kind of interesting places and things of kind of interest, famous people, moments to remember. And yeah, I just, again, I like a lot of these books. As you can probably tell, I quite like picking up books that are full of good quality information, but are also engaging to look at, because I feel like that kind of keeps kids picking them up time and again if they look good. So yeah, that's the 50 States. That one's fantastic. Bit closer to home with this one. This is Maps of the United Kingdom, and this is similar to a book I recommended in the last one called Maps, which was all about maps from the world, but they were like really pretty and interesting to look at maps. This is all about the United Kingdom, and in very similar way to the previous book that went through the 50 states, this goes through county by county, or like area by area. This is just an example. I've got Greater Manchester here, so it's got lots of interesting information, relevant people that came from those places, a little bit of blurb. Like I said, very similar to that USA book, except this one is a bit closer to home, interesting for kids to look at. It's also interesting if you're going to be travelling around to different places, because you can kind of, like I said before with the other one, you can use it a bit like a travel book, and you can find information about the places you're going to visit. And the last one is Hello Atlas. Now I called this a geography book. When I open it, you will see it's actually not a geography book, it's more of a languages book. So this is a book that goes through loads of different languages. So let me open it up. It tells, so it's got maps of what, I just donked myself on the head with this book, that was fun. That's a map of Europe, and it tells you what people speak in what places. And then if you go further into Europe, it will give you examples of things, and it translates everything across to English, but it gives you all sorts of little things that you might want to say in other languages. So you've got in here French, Italian, Spanish, Romanian, Portuguese, Danish, German, Catalan, Swedish, Dutch, Polish, Russian, Serbian, Icelandic, Finnish, Norwegian. There's all sorts in here. It's not a proper like language book, but it's going to give you, it's just fun, I think, for kids to get their tongues around and their mouths around different languages. and it's just an interesting book to have a little look through. If you have got a kid like mine that is into geography, then I think this is a really good kind of support to that, because they can talk about the fact that people speak different languages, but it's nice to be able to get some examples of words. So that is the last book that I am recommending. I feel like I've bombarded you with books. I hope it was helpful. As I said before, I am so passionate about getting kids good quality books to look at and getting kids fired up about reading. Like I said, if you have not watched the previous video, there is a list load more of these sorts of books if they are the sort of thing that you would be interested in or your children would be interested in. And if there are any other kind of book educationally type videos you would like to see from me, let me know in the comments and I will scratch my noggin and get my teacher cogs working and see if I can help you out with those. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and if you have got any books that fit into this vein that you feel like I need to know about, let me know in the comments and let me know which one of these looks like your favourite and which one you would consider picking up. I will see you for another video really soon, everyone.